Hi, everyone. Oh, Amber, I don't think we're getting you in. Well, we might be having some technical difficulties here. Amber, I know, is on her phone right now. She's got some storms and things, I guess, in her area. Oh, now she's off. All right. So it's just going to be me for a little bit. So welcome, everyone, to Rockhound Talk Live. I'm your co-host, Ben Chorn. Our host, Amber, is working right now on getting her streaming stuff set up. I know she was saying she's got houses in her area that are without power right now. She was going to try and join on her phone. So it looked like she was having some audio issues. So we'll just talk a little bit, just us right now. I did see some comments of some people, so if you're watching right now, feel free to leave a comment. Hi, Antonio. Ray Wood asking, why dig below the empty wood holes? We will definitely be asking that. So for those of you that don't know, our guest tonight is going to be Jake Anderson. He is, I believe, the fourth generation of miners for the Royal Peacock Opal Mines. They are located in the Virgin Valley of Nevada. So Jake will be on in about 10 minutes or so to answer all of your questions. So if you do have some questions already, feel free to put them down in the chat. And when Jake comes on, we will definitely ask him. So as far as what is going on with me, since it looks like Amber is, again, having a little bit of issues right now, I do want to point out I've got a brand new shirt right now. If anyone remembers Ellie Ringo, our very first guest of season 2, she's got these cool shirts. I've got a shirt. She says, do you have the minerals? Ellie knows rocks. If you guys aren't following her, make sure to check her out. She's actually been doing a like Geology 101 series recently. So she's got a lot of really cool short videos about geology. And she's also been posting, she has some rock ID kits for sale on her Etsy page, and she's just gotten those back in stock. So if you want to learn more about some of the general geology stuff, Ellie Ringo is really cool. And it looks like we might have Amber. Let's see. It says you're on mute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. All right.
Just some minor technical issues. We're having like a really big storm here, and I don't know if it's related to that or what's going on. So my apologies. Welcome to Rockhound Talk Live. My name is Amber Monroe. I am your host, and you've already know Ben. He's already started the show for us. How have you been?
I've been good. I've been very busy trying to get my house set up. I was hoping to actually have some artwork on the walls, but unfortunately, I did not have time yet. I've been just so busy with work. So
I do
yeah, but
see you got a shelf up. That's new.
oh yeah, so that was that's been the big project is, of course, any rockhound is moving all of their rocks when they move. So I finally got, I think I've got 3 or 4 shelves, and I've gotten a lot of the rocks put away on that. So that was a big project that is actually still ongoing. So yeah, it's just been a lot. And I saw you just did another trip out to New York.
I did. And I can't wait to go back already. Like, just that one time out there, and I'm like, oh, this is the kind of rock hounding I enjoy. It's a lot of work, but oh my gosh, I love it. But yeah, so I was out there. I was invited to experience Mohawk. Great place. I connected with some of my friends out there. Shout out to Dawn. She's the best. And we went to a couple different places. we did some more travertine. I found that there is calcite out there that is only reactive to midwave.
Oh,
So yeah, that was newer to me. And as far as I know, I don't know too many people that are familiar with um, that this specific calcite is just midwave reactive. So that was cool to find. I mean, well, I guess I had some actually the last time. Maybe I didn't actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think I used long wave on that. Anyways, but it has a beautiful fluorescence. Um, and went to Lake Huron. It was a great week. So I got the kids out there mining. That was the first time they had ever did any kind of hard rock mining. So it was a good time. It was a good time. Have you done any rock hounding lately?
I have not. I have been so busy with work, but I've been a little bit lucky. I actually have some work coming up in Brainerd, Minnesota, which is in like the central part of the state. And I was out there on Monday, marking out some locations where we're going to be doing some work. And I got a couple agates. It's one of those you can't help yourself when you're walking
Yeah.
around and you're on the side of the road and there's some gravel and it's like, yeah, I'm going to look around. And yeah, sure enough, I found a few. So that's about all I
Nice.
can do. My work schedule right now is just so busy. I'm
Hmm.
really looking forward to at the end of August. I'm doing about a week in Montana to do some rock
Yes,
hounding.
I would.
So
I was gonna try and make that, but I'm not gonna be able to make it this time. So I'm definitely going to look forward to your pictures and updating us on how that goes. It's going to be a great trip. I'm certain of it. And because you guys are doing the Montana agates, and then you'll do. Is it a place in Montana for the dinosaurs as well?
yep, yeah, yeah. So our main trip that we do, the Minnesota Mineral Club does every year, is Labor Day weekend. We'll go to a private ranch where you can find petrified wood and Montana agates, and then we go to a dinosaur ranch, the Base Dinosaur Ranch, and we look for agatized wood and dinosaur bones. So that's our standard one, and then this year we're adding on a whole bunch of other trips. We're doing, if anyone remembers from season one, Eddie White, he's got a service that he does where he takes people on boats to the middle of the Yellowstone River to look for agates. So our club is actually doing that, and then we're also going rock hounding on some of the other gravel bars, and then we've got sapphires and garnets, and then we're going to Wyoming, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff that we're doing. So it's going to be a huge trip that I'm only going to be there for the Montana part because unfortunately I've got some actually work in Montana that I'll be headed back out there for. But yeah, it's summer's flying by fast. I can't believe it's almost August.
I can't believe it. It's so sad, especially when you live up north and our time to enjoy this being outdoors like this is so limited. That's the sad part.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm already now. It's getting to the point where I'm like, I need to start planning my trips for next spring because
Yes.
it's getting to that point where with working so much now too, I end up getting airline miles and rental car points and all that kind of stuff. So I end up getting all these like you know points that I can use for trips, and I'm like, oh man, like where should I go?
Yeah.
So yeah,
So many
that's one of the
choices.
good things about working all the time.
Yeah. So you sent me a link, and I presume that we were going to maybe touch base on it tonight
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if anyone
on some
saw.
like geology rockhound news that we like to do with each episode. So if you're new to the show, Ben and I do like to try to incorporate any kind of recent news in our hobby or anything related to rocks and minerals that we can share. So I'll let you go ahead and start sharing because I should say my daughter read it to me while I was getting
Okay.
ready. I'm like, read this to me while I'm getting ready because I know this is something I should know for the show tonight. And it's actually a
Yeah.
really good article.
Yeah, it was a really good article. I actually to be perfectly honest, I started reading it and got probably, a half, maybe three-quarters of the way through the article and I went, this is a really long article,
I
but
know
it's
my
it's
daughter
really
thinks
interesting.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And it
So,
yeah.
it was an article. It was purchased. It was published in Time Magazine. If anyone wants to look it up, so it's free. The title of it is "Gem Hunters Found the Lithium America Needs. Maine Won't Let Them Dig It Up." And the article goes on to explain that there's this couple that they were looking for, if I can remember it, it might have been tourmaline.
Yes. Yep.
And they
Which,
were
by the way,
searching.
before you go on,
Yeah.
did you know that there was such a large source of it up there?
Yeah, I didn't know. I mean,
I
I know
know.
that there's like a bunch of
I'm
rocks
like,
up,
I
in
need to go
northern
up
New
there.
England, but yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah.
But there was a couple that they were looking
Mhm.
for tourmaline, and they started finding this lithium mineral called spodumene,
Mhm.
and they started to find enough of it where they said, we could mine this.
And I
Um,
think they got analyzed and everything, and
yes, yeah,
because
it's
because
and
I don't
it's
think they didn't know what it was initially is what kind of what I thought of it, but
Yeah, and they've dug. It's not like they just are finding the surface. They've dug tunnels and
yes.
a whole bunch of stuff that it's not just like finding bits on the surface. Um, but there's some issues where Maine has like some of the strictest environmental regulations, and they're not letting them mine any of it. And it's there's this whole it's sort of somewhat coming to a head too in Minnesota, where they are proposing copper mines. It's one thing that we actually have a Democratic governor, and he actually supports the mining. And he points out that in order to do things like have electric vehicles, the copper that's used in solar panels, that has to all get sourced from somewhere. And if it comes from a country that has low environmental regulations, they are essentially ruining their land to produce the minerals that we are going to use. And then you also add in all the transportation costs. There's a whole bunch of issues with that. Whereas if we are to mine it in America, we have some of the strictest mining rules as far as the environment goes in the world. And so we can kind of control that and not have it be as bad of a issue. There's still a whole bunch of issues as far as mining goes in the U.S., which I deal with somewhat with my job. So that's a whole other story. But this couple in Maine had found this lithium deposit, and I guess lithium sort of pops up in a couple different ways, and the lithium that they're actually finding in this area of Maine is like easier to process and get out, and it's a high quality ore, and it's
High
basically like the
quality.
perfect yeah, it's like the perfect deposit to be able to get this lithium out. And of course, with the expansion of electric vehicles that need lithium for the batteries, this is like a huge thing. But the regulations with Maine, they're not letting them mine it. So it's this weird thing of I think they've like quit their job, and this is like what they do is they mine it more of like a hobby and selling the minerals.
Yeah,
But
and it's like it sounded like in the article, like these were just like everyday people that enjoy collecting. They came across, this mineral. They obviously purchased this land and started mining it, because they do ship it to a place in Florida, and then they have
right.
it processed or refined overseas or whatever. But so like they just sounded like these were just like everyday people. It's not
Yeah.
like it's just some company that purchased this land. It's just like a married couple that was collecting tourmaline and came across the source, which is so interesting to me and inspiring to know that there are still minerals that may be undiscovered, or the masses of it are unknown, that everyday people can still find. So that
Yeah.
was really cool to me. But the other part of it that we are kind of like in this conundrum where we just don't know what to do in terms of we want to obviously be conscious of the environment, but then we need to have availability of resources that we can use on our own and not depend on other countries. And then the article goes also into situations where ethical situations, even going back to colonialism, where we have natives that are in reservations, who are sitting on potentially mineral rich land. And this becomes an ethical issue. You don't just take land from these people and then they have these minerals that we need, and how do we come to a happy medium? And it was a really really good article. I mean, it
Yeah.
invoked a lot of different topics, and concerns that, we're dealing with, on an everyday basis. But it's interesting how it all started with just, everyday rock hounds, which is really cool to me.
Yeah, yeah. So again, if you want to look it up, if you just search like Time magazine and like Lithium and Maine, even like you'll see it pop up on your searches. But yeah, and it's really interesting too. I know, like I did some work with the Montana Bureau of Mines and Geology when I was in school, and hearing some of the people when they talk about like the mapping that they do and some of the old mines and different things, and it's like there are parts back in those mountains that people really haven't fully discovered. And all it takes is some, rockhound that feels ambitious and they want to spend a week out in the mountains, and they start going up a certain hillside and they might find something. And then, they get it analyzed or they bring back stuff and someone might say, hey, you've actually got something here. And yeah, they were just looking for tourmaline and they ended
Mhm.
up finding possibly the richest lithium deposit in North
In the
America.
world, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't want to, and also I don't want to minimize, I should say, they may actually have been prospectors and not, rock hounds. They may have been, I think I might have read something in there that they were using geological surveys and looking for minerals, they were a bit, I guess, in the world of rock hunting and prospectors. I kind of look at prospectors a little bit, on the notch above of, doing research to find specific, detailed, hunts per se. So I guess I don't want to minimize and say that, they were just everyday rock hounds. They may have been more involved in that, but either way, they didn't anticipate finding what they found, and that's the cool part. So
Yeah, yeah, and it really speaks to doing your research, looking at
yes.
maps, getting all of the information you can, because you might find something that, no one's found before.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All
So
right.
yeah, it's really cool. All right. So looks like we've got our guest Jake Anderson here waiting for us. So Ben, would you like to welcome him?
Yeah, so everyone, our guest tonight is Jake Anderson of the Royal Peacock Opal Mines. Hi Jake, how's it going?
Hello. How are you? Good. How are you?
Hi, welcome,
Great.
Jake. How are you?
Thank you. Good. Great.
So
Well,
I admit have visited. I visited a couple years ago the Royal Peacock Opal Mines and got really lucky, found some opals. And I hadn't done much research before going there. If I'm being honest, my fiance forced me to go because it's one of the few places in the area that has, you guys have like a campground, cabins, all of that stuff. But I was reading up more about the history, and I think I read so that the Royal Peacock Opal Mines has been around since 1912. Is that correct?
I believe it was 1905 is when that place was first staked by the name of a guy, Mark Foster, was his name. He was like one of the first prospectors, I think, to go out there. Uh, so I'm pretty sure my grandfather told me 1905. It might have been that's when he first came out there, and then 1912 maybe is when they staked it. But yeah, it's been around for a long time. One of the originals in the valley.
and so you said your grandfather. So your mine there has been through family generations then?
Yes, I am the fourth, and I got a little fifth on the way.
Oh,
So yeah,
that's
1945
cool.
is when 44 or 45 is when my great grandparents purchased it.
Okay.
He
So
just
why
purchased
don't
it
you
from him.
tell us a little bit about your mine, what people can find at your mine, and how actually, how did your family get started into this?
So the great grandparents never really mind for it. They just had it just to have it. My great grandma, she was the one that liked to go out and do a little bit of rock hounding herself. My great grandpa, he just cared about his cows and his horses. He raised horses for the cavalry. So he would, like twice a year, kind of like how they did the cattle drive, except for they did a horse drive down to Alturas, I believe it was, hundreds of horses at a time. And he would break them uh, as he would ride them down there. Like break one and then get on another wild one and break it all the way down to Alturas. Anyways, that's a little
Wow.
off subject. So my grandpa, he leased it to a guy by the name of Bill Kelly. He was commercially doing it, trying to do a commercial operation, which he did a pretty good job, but he put the money into the wrong places. So in 62 is when he started doing that. And in 68, he went bankrupt. He had a lot of good opals. My grandpa was curing them uh, by the 55-gallon drum and shipping them down, or taking them down to Reno and shipping them over to Chicago by the 55-gallon drum, 6 drums at a time, uh, every couple weeks or something like that. It was a big operation, and it was all pick and shovel. There was no mechanized way to do it, and there still is no mechanized way to do it. The clay is too hard. It'll break the opals if you try to break the clay up. So anyways, in 68, he went bankrupt. And so that's when we started letting people in the tailings. And then in 71 or 2 or 3 is when we started letting people dig in the virgin material. And it's been that way ever since.
And you let people keep whatever they find, is that right?
Everything you find is yours to keep. Absolutely.
So what, I guess that begs the question then, what's been like the most like crazy thing that someone who's been visiting has found?
What I've seen myself, probably something about maybe 2, 3 inches round in diameter and maybe a foot long. It's a forest that it's replacing. So we had a lot of redwoods and sequoias and conifers, what have you, oaks. There was a lot of different trees around here. So they say that this is the birthplace of the Yellowstone volcano. So what Yellowstone looks like today is what this place looked like all those millions of years ago. And I guess we were a little closer to the equator, so we looked more like a savanna. Uh, and so, yeah, so a volcano came and buried the forest, and then the tree limbs either rotted out or some of them were fossilized. And whatever time it was, the silica seeped through and replaced the forest, that got buried. So, as I said, the redwoods and the sequoias, we have the chance of having some of the largest in the world because of what we are replacing. I mean, no tree is bigger than a redwood, or a sequoia. So, so that's how, or I mean, we still to this day hold the record for the largest opalized fossilized log, 130 pounds. Uh,
Wow.
World's largest flawless gem. I think it's 5 ounces in a private collection.
What?
Yes, that was found by Bill Kelly, that guy that commercially did the place. It was a huge tree trunk, is what it was. And then it broke down, and he got the biggest piece and cut the biggest piece from that tree trunk. And it was 5 ounces, is what he got out of it. So, uh, Exxon did some core drilling back in the 70s, and they found, or they had a 10-inch solid core of black opal, and 1,500 feet deep, but a
Wow.
10-foot solid chunk of black opal. Imagine how long that tree was, I think when everything got rolled up, the heavies settled to the bottom. So, like the actual trees, huge trees and everything are more towards the bottom. We're kind of in the branches. Right.
Can you hear me? Am I still here?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. I think it something glitched out here for a second.
Yeah.
Is
So
it?
we just got like a huge storm that just came through. So at
Mhm.
any point I might be disconnected. But I'm thinking that's what it was, because right when that went out, we just heard some big thundering. So my
Okay.
apologies.
Well,
Hopefully
you
it's
know
on
what?
my end.
On that note, let me show some of the photos here. So let me actually go back.
Oh
This
yeah.
was the end of the slides here.
Wow.
So these,
Wow.
I got a couple photos here of just when I was out here. So on the photo on the right, that's just kind of the landscape, just so people can kind of understand the area that you're in. There's really not much out there.
No, there's not.
Yeah,
Re-
the bar on the left is actually a bar that I got to spend about 4 or 6 hours in because my fiance was taking some online classes and she happened to have class that night, and it was the only place that we could get Wi-Fi. So, you know, lucky me, I got to sit at the
uh-huh.
bar and drink.
Nice
Um,
little bar.
yes, it is very nice. The food's pretty good and the service is great too. And then here's me when I was out. So you can see, if anyone's wondering what the bank looks like, the photo on the right, that's me digging into the bank, checking something that is not an opal. And then these are some photos of when I was actually digging out a small like branch that I had found. It didn't end up having any fire in it. It did have some phantoms in it, which was pretty cool. But this is that. And then here's some other photos that you guys had sent over. So, and who are the people that are in the upper right?
So that's my grandparents. Those are the ones that started the whole feed egg thing and everything. So yeah, I guess those are the matriarchs, or uh, yeah,
And then it
yeah.
looks like we've got some of the tools
Oh,
that are needed. So I guess could you kind of talk then, like if someone wanted to come out and dig in the bank, like what sort of tools would they need?
okay. So the big pick and the shovel is one of my favorite two pieces of equipment. Uh, I like to use the big pick and just slowly chip away at the wall until you find stuff. And then once you find stuff, I like to switch over to that little hand pick. You know, if you swing a hand pick all day, it's hard to find something efficiently. Uh, you don't want to be raping it. You know, you just want to ever so lightly be chipping away. Just let the weight of the pick do the work, uh, and then shovel, muck it out. Once you generate a good amount of tailings, you almost muck out more dirt than what you dig in the bank. But it's very important that you do that. If you don't, you will lose whatever half you find, and yeah, so it's very important to keep it clean. Those little awls, screwdrivers, that's good for when you're really, really close to them. You want to be just, you know, just ever so lightly chipping away at it. Uh, yeah. What do we got? Rake, good for the tailings. That's you want to kind of get in there a little bit sometimes. A lot of people surface pick, so there's a lot of tailings that have got buried and then stacked upon more and more and more with more tailings, you know. So there's some good tailings that have never been touched that are just, you know, 1, 2, 3 feet in there, maybe more, maybe less. Maybe sometimes it is right on the surface. People do walk around and kick them up all the time. If then yeah, when it doesn't rain out there very often, but after a good rainstorm is a good time to go out there. Settles all the dust and everything.
Right.
The little yeah hand rake is just one of those big rakes in the tailings, but small. Same with the shovel. But I guess I'd say the most important one is big pick, shovel, little pick.
Okay.
And your awl and your screwdriver awl. Water, definitely got to have some water. Uh, these that have been exposed to the atmosphere too quickly, the moisture is sucked out of them, so they kind of implode on themselves. So anything that you dig out of the bank that has 35% or more water or wood, I mean, you want to dump it into the water. If it has a lot of wood, I would wrap it up in a damp paper towel and like put it in a Ziploc bag or, you know, a Walmart bag, something to make it sweat a little bit, but not fully submerge it into the water.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so is
And
there a
what's this?
way?
Oh, sorry.
Well, I was gonna say, so then I know like people have asked before, is there a way then if you pull something like out of the bank and you've been keeping it wet, is there a way to sort of like safely dry it out that it's not going to like crack and craze?
I mean, there's a lot of different ways. What you want to do is slowly wick that moisture out. That's what you want to eventually want to do. So whatever process you could do, what I like to do is cut and polish my gems first, get it down to its final stages, and then I'll wrap them in a damp paper towel, not too damp because it won't dry out. Then I'll maybe poke 6 or 12 syringe holes through the plastic bag and then roll it up, put it in a dark, cool closet, and just forget about it. Come back to it 6 months, year, even longer. The bigger it is, the longer it takes to have that moisture wicked out of there, you know. So you got to take that into consideration, the size and everything. But the best ones break up the worst. So if you get a Supreme one, like 95% chance it's going to break.
Hmm.
Uh, so I mean, you could take some of its own dirt, you know, like a 3, 5 gallon bucket full of dirt of its bentonite clay, maybe mix it with a little bit of sand so it'll dry out a little bit better. And then fill that bucket a quarter of the way full with some damp clay. Again, not too damp. And then put all your stuff in the quarter of the way full, and then dump the rest of it. Dump the rest of that damp clay 3/4 of the way up. Fill it up and let that bucket dry out. It's kind of a more natural way to do it, I guess.
Okay.
Um, You could do mineral oil, but we don't like to do that much anymore because you need extra heavy. It's kind of hard to find the old original extra heavy stuff. A lot of things aren't like what they used to be made with. A lot of it was cancerous, back in the day. So they had to quit using a lot of stuff, and you know what I mean. So,
And
so yeah.
for the I was going to say, for the viewers who are watching are not familiar about the importance of the opal being moist, can you explain that a bit?
So if you were to find it, it would only take like 5, 10, 15 seconds for it to start developing cracks. So it's very critical that it goes in the water immediately. If you like, if it's super, super hot, which it is most of the time, you find a really nice one. I like to make a mud pack. Take some really fine dirt, mix it in with some water, make a really nice mud, and slap it on the face of the opal, and then take a marker via like a different colored rock or a piece of ash or something and stick on the mud so I know where it's at. Then that'll keep it sealed so it won't have any air touching it.
And I think I remember from when I had visited, because the tailings have largely been like stirred up and sitting out for a long time. You don't really have to worry about that if you find one in the tailings pile. Is that right?
Right in the lower tailings, yes. I mean, we have a very vast area that you could go through. The lower tailings, yeah, they don't get restacked on anymore, so you definitely probably have to dig down in those ones. But yeah, those ones are more cured out. Those ones could be 30 years old, 30 plus, 35 years old, you know. But you still find really good stuff in there. I mean, the more years go on, those lower ones are going to be harder to find. But the ones that people freshly bring off the bank, it's questionable. I mean, if you find like a really nice chunk of glass still on a piece of clay, then maybe it would be a good idea to throw it in the water if it's still a little translucent. Usually, if it dries too quickly, it'll smoke up, kind of shock itself. So if you see it smoked up, what's going to happen to it has happened. So you could leave it out. Mm, yeah. So you kind of gotta, or whatever tailings are. Yeah.
Can you
Freshly dug
tell
off the
us?
wall. Go ahead.
Can you tell us what kind of opals can we find at your mine? You did mention black opals, and some, I think, been mentioned fire opals. Are there any others that you can find?
So we have everything from clear white to black and everything in between. A lot of colors, base colors, anyways. Whatever impurity was in the dirt mixing in with your silica gel, that's what base color it's going to be. And if you want to get real technical, fire opal is really orange opal. Its base is orange, and it could have no play of color, and it would still be fire opal. So like there's some fire opal up in Oregon, all that
Hmm.
orange. You guys
Yeah,
know what? Yeah, uh-huh.
yeah.
So if you did have a play of color, that would be considered precious fire opal. So I
Okay,
guess we're precious black opal. I guess if you want to get technical, but I mean everybody still
Okay.
calls it fire. So or yeah,
okay,
who cares? Uh,
yeah.
but yes, so some of the rarest in the world. I believe that Virgin Valley, again, with those trees, the replacement of the big branches, 10 inches round sometimes, biggest, blackest opals in the world with the reddest fire. We have midnight jet black, with a deep, deep red fire as the dominant fire. So that is what makes us so unique.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Uh,
here's some of the photos that you had sent over. So I guess, is there anything you want to say about some of these? They're, I mean,
I
pretty
mean,
crazy.
some of them are like common ones that everybody has probably seen. Those two logs up there, Frida's log and the shoe. Uh, that other one was a piece of bark. I mean, you know how hard it is to probably capture opals. The lower left, right, I'm sorry, would be probably maybe the closest thing I had to some jet black with some really deep red in it. You could see kind of the core is jet black. Sometimes the skin is the best part, so you don't want to go past the skin. That was like the bark of the tree.
Mhm.
Uh, so yeah, I mean, crazy stuff indeed. That place never ceases to amaze me.
Yeah, and
Wow.
then there's this video you had sent here too. It looks like showing
Yes,
the fire in it.
yes, the fire columns, like that white little whatever there. I guess that's how your columns, fire columns, are stacking up right there. I
Okay.
mean, that's some of the best of the best, I guess, uh, for the
Wow.
fire side of it. Little columns of fire, all diffracting the light. I mean,
Wow.
wild, just wild.
Yeah,
Wow.
So,
it is.
Yeah, and then I
I
think
wish
you
I,
also here and
yeah,
then
it
here's
can be
some.
done. It can be done. Jewelry can be done. Uh, so, like that one on the right, that's a triplet. So it has a quartz cap on the top of it, sealing it. So you
Oh.
never have to worry about it being because when you do dry it out, it does have a chance of getting too wet again and absorbing a bunch of moisture, and then it'll crack and craze all over on you again. So it's very critical to keep these dry whenever you do stabilize one and you want to, make it into some jewelry, and you can do it. Very rare to make jewelry out of this stuff, though. Uh, but
And
like
is
sometimes, go ahead.
I was gonna say, is this something that you've done, or do you know people then that
Yes, I
work
do.
with
I
it?
did. I did the one on the left. The one on the right was my grandfather's. That was way long before my time. Uh, so, but we don't have a lot of triplets around anymore. So yeah, that's a really kind of good example of a triplet. How you could lock it in there. Never got to worry about anything again.
Okay, and I think I saw or mentioned something too when I was there. You guys, because of all the trees in the area, not only do you find like branches and bark, but you have opalized pine cones too. Is that true?
Yes, pine cones, birds' nests, whatever was around that area at the time, you know, could have a chance of being opalized, whatever got rolled up by the volcano. So, I mean, there was some people that found like a cocoon of some moth thing. I can't remember what they called it. I think it started with a C or something. First time. That was the first time. I mean, you could find something new for the first time every day, you know. Uh, but so again, you just try to picture what Yellowstone is today and all that wildlife that was around there that has high probability of being opalized.
Wow. And then I saw you guys had sent it just said bones. Was this some like fossils or what are
Yes.
these?
So from my understanding, at first I thought it was like a horse or a pig. Everybody thought it was a horse around me, but I thought it was a pig because of that tusk. I guess it's percary, something like that, like a pig-like thing. I guess they've been around for millions upon millions of years, and they have not changed like a lot at all. So they've just been rolling through just the same as they've been for who knows how long. So yeah, that's a precary jaw and its upper portion. I just recently, 2, 3 years ago, found like a pelvic bone that the marrow was opalized with
Oh.
precious opal inside the marrow.
Wow.
Oh,
That's
Very
wow.
cool.
extremely rare. First
Yeah,
time I've
that's
seen
incredible.
opalized or precious opalized bone
Wow.
since I've been there. I've only heard about precious 3 times, precious fossils. So
Right.
extremely rare.
Yeah, that's incredible. Now, are there certain areas at your mine that would produce some of these things than others? Do you have that kind of mapped out at the mines? Like, if someone was to come there, how would they know where to start?
So I mean, it's kind of like putting your quarter in a slot machine, or I guess your couple $100 bills in a slot machine. There's probably like maybe 200-yard, 300-yard area that you could choose from. And then down below in the older tailings, we do have a trench that produces a lot of big logs, opalized logs. So like the different layers, in some layers the wood rots out all the way, so you get a solid replacement. And you could go like a foot down and you're in a different layer, and it produces big logs. The logs haven't decayed all the way, or they didn't get the just right circumstances to rot out. You know, they were buried rapidly with no oxygen, so they were fossilized completely in place. And then the silica just made like a skin around them. You know, a skin of opal or whatever. Conch would be a good one. That would be like the shoe. All those Rice Krispie treat cells, they were nutrient cavity feeder tree, nutrient feeders. You know, uh, so yeah, there's that trench down below. So we got like a good amount of area that you can choose from. But what you
So,
want to look for? Go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say. So, someone speaking of like where to dig, we actually had a question come in from Ray that said, "Why dig below empty wood holes?"
I like to think of those as filters. Like the three things that I like to be around are ash balls, cracks, and big holes. Usually, I don't know why, but I like to think of them as filters. Anyways, usually the good stuff is below that, but yeah, could be anywhere.
Do you have it kind of, I guess, after being there so long, know like at what sea levels you would find certain things, like if you go down this many feet or that many feet, you have it kind of broke down to a science like that where
It
you
it
know how deep
kind
to
of
go?
there's like a wave in there in the bank. If you step back, some people don't see it. I could see it clear as day.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, you just kind of got to follow the wave a little bit.
Okay,
hmm
that makes sense.
Some are deeper, other times than you know. So yeah, sometimes you find them like chest height. Sometimes you got to dig 3 feet down.
Yeah, I'll throw up. This was the again that photo when I was out there digging, and I think around my knees was where I had found that opal in those other pictures.
hmm hmm Yeah, they're few and far between up top, but probably, I mean, I'd say like 1 in 100 people might come across something up top, but they are there. But you eventually want to work your way
Down.
down. hmm
So I guess kind of going on with that theme too. We had a comment come in from William asking, "What's the best time of the year to visit? Are you? I
I'd
guess are
say
you open all year round, or is
May
there?"
15th, May 15th, October 15th, weather permitting. And for the past few years, we've been doing kind of whatever, like let's say the 15th falls on a Saturday, we'd open on a Friday, so we'd do the 14th. I think this year we did the 12th. Uh, so whatever the 15th falls on that Friday. So
Okay,
yeah,
and
15th stuck. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, and so then I guess what would be the best time to visit? Because I know I went in the summer and it was very hot.
Yeah.
So is there like a
Uh,
best time to visit?
Spring is a good time because everything's been winterized. I don't like to mess with anything that I give to the people. So yeah, uh, spring for the weather and the winterization, or the fall for the weather. The fall's beautiful time of year. It's my favorite time is
I will
October.
say I did see that you just posted on your Facebook page that on I think I just wrote down September 9th, you're going to have your third annual appreciation day. And
Mm,
so for anyone looking to go, I think it said you still had some availability in your campground. But they do have a special day on September 9th. It's to dig in the bank, it's only $100, and for the tailings, it's only 40. So if you're looking to go to the Royal Peacock, their appreciation day is on September 9th, 9/9.
yes,
And we had another
hope to
question
see you
come
there.
in too. Ryan on YouTube was asking, will the mine ever give out?
One day there will be an end, absolutely, as with everything.
So I guess that there was something too that was kind of on my mind going along with that too. How do you know how much has been mined since it opened, over 100 years ago?
Like how many uh, opals have been mined out, or like in the amount of yardage?
Yeah, like yards, acres, or feet. Like, I guess, is there
Um,
a way to kind of judge?
I would say millions of yards, maybe. Definitely hundreds of thousands. I mean, you do like 125,000 yards is what the last one I figured with 9 yard loader bucket. Like it was what I figured out one day, 10-hour days, and you do like two loads every, or three, 4 loads every minute, or something like that. So 4 loads every minute times an hour times 10-hour days, like 125,000 yards of dirt. And we've done that ever since, the 70s, 60s, 80s, 90s was the big ones. So, millions, I would say, millions of yards of dirt, hundred millions of dollars to expose these opal bearing layers.
Wow. So I do have one other thing that I guess is sort of on topic for this, but on topic for the podcast. So I was reading an article about your operation and everything, and I happened to catch a sentence at the end of it that said that you and Cassie actually met while you were looking for sunstones. So
Indeed, we
I've got to
did.
ask them. So besides opals, and I guess sunstones are an obvious one. Are there other minerals and gems that you go out looking for?
Not as much as maybe what I should. I did that crystal thing, or no, the diamond thing. Where was it? In Arkansas. That could be cool. I might go back to there again. I want to do the quartz over there. I can't remember what that was as well.
Yes, yeah.
Um,
We had the some girls. They call themselves the Arkansas Crystal Girls. That they dig. I
mhm,
think there's like 9 or 10 mines in Arkansas that you can dig quartz crystals. So yeah, that's on my list too.
mhm. I guess North Carolina's got some emeralds. I don't know if that's still going. We were featured on the Travel Channel with these guys from North Carolina. So I've always wanted to do that. I have no idea if that's ever still going. I guess there's some tourmaline down in San Diego. Uh, yeah, stuff beyond your wildest dreams, probably just outside the door.
Yeah, yeah.
What other minerals can you find there on your mind? Is it just opal? I know that you mentioned
Just
some fossils, but
mainly opals, selenite, which is
oh,
water soluble. The main layer was way up top somewhere. And whenever that was a lake, it liquefied, came back down, and resolidified, and whatever. That's can be cool sometimes. Selenite can replace, things just like the opal does. It's a
okay.
lot more rare, not worth very much, but when you find a selenite pine cone, it's kind of cool just to hang on to
Yeah,
that because you don't see it every day.
yeah,
Or sometimes you get half opal, half selenite. But yeah, agates. We don't really find agates around our mine, but in the area, and that's kind of it for. I mean, there's uranium. If you want to go get some, take your iodine. Be sure to go looking for that.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah, and going back to the Sunstones, if anyone's interested, I when I went to the Royal Peacock Opal Mines, I actually went from there up into Oregon to Plush, where you can mine for the Sunstones, and it's not
not
too
very far
far
away.
away. So
Hmm.
it's yeah, if you're doing a road trip, it's very easy to do a rock hunting road trip and make a stop out to Denio.
Denial, yes, some of
Denial.
the darkest skies of the United States.
oh wow.
And that plush area is also like we're in this little circle of the darkest place in the United States. I was out there for that big comet. It was just wild. The stars
Yeah.
are, hmm yeah.
Did you see the comments over here? I'm just curious. This Antonio Roberts, if he found this at your mine or not. Trying to pull it up here. Did it pull over? Let's see.
Yes, yes. Oh, you took it away. I'll bring it
Okay.
back up here. He
Yeah.
said he found opalized fir cone and then around $3,000 of black opal with a full spectrum.
Yes, I remember that. That was some of the best of the best. Could have
Wow.
been
And so this was
better,
found at
but that's up
at
there.
your mine. Wow.
Yes,
That's
on the current bank that we dig on, it's harder to find than it was back in the 90s. That everybody got spoiled back then, but it's still there. Got to work.
Yeah, I guess kind of to touch on that too. I know when I was there, I think one other person there was a small group of us, and like one other person had found opals. I guess is it fairly common that people find opals, or is it something? I know the people that I've talked to, some people they spend multiple days out there digging. I guess like how common is it to find an opal if people are
Uh,
they're expecting to get a bucket full or
mhm.
something.
Yeah, it's in the bank. It's kind of like I would say maybe one in every 10 people, 20 people might find something. Maybe one in every 30 might find something extremely supreme. Or those odds could vary. Sometimes it could just be nothing hitting in the bank for a long time, and that number could be like one in 40. Or it could be like one in 10. Everybody is all of a sudden coming on a bunch of stuff. So uh, it's kind of how much you swing the pick, but I go back to that. You don't want to just be, going to town on it.
Right.
Efficiently moving that big pick all day is kind of what you want.
So I guess
Yeah,
another
in the tailings. I'm sorry, that's kind of like if you know what you're looking for, the tailings could be a guarantee, but a lot of people are beginners, so it's a good chance you would find something in the tailings, but not a guarantee. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I know when I was there, I forgot his name, but there was someone from the mine that was out there sort of helping with sort of what to look for. I guess, and is that pretty typical then that someone is there sort of to
Yes, there's
answer
usually
questions?
somebody there all day. I haven't been out there for a long time. I feel kind of bad, but yeah, there's usually somebody there all day.
That's very helpful and good to know
Hmm.
because, not that when somebody goes to a mine, I mean, at least they shouldn't have an expectation that they're going to find great things every time they go somewhere. But it is nice to have some kind of understanding of the area and what to maybe look for. Just to have a little base information
Hmm.
that's very helpful. So it's good to know that because that was going to be one of my questions is if you had that. So that's good. Good.
Yeah, we've got a few comments that have come in that people have said the tailings are awesome. Ida says she found a nice piece with fire right on top.
It can happen. It can happen, especially after some rain or something, or I mean, just from in somebody else's footsteps. I don't know how many times I've kicked something up myself, and somebody said, "Hey, look at what you just kicked up," or what that person did that I gave to them, what they kicked up. So it can happen.
So I know there are other mines in the area. If people were kind of looking to prospect their own, is there like any areas that someone could go just to try to find their own, or are they all pretty much
Uh,
take?
you should definitely do your research because I mean Virgin Valley has a lot of private claims. You don't want to just be going out and walking around. Find out what's claimed by who, you know. But if you want to do a fee dig, there's Bonanza and Rainbow Ridge. Those are and us. Those are the three ones that probably you should stick to. Um, but yeah, and other than that, it's probably all privatized or not privatized, but have active mining
Nice.
claims on them.
Right.
So again, do your research. You could if you knew what was open. You know.
And if somebody wanted to come out to the mine, spends a few days out there, and they aren't planning on camping, just thinking about like people traveling there, are there places like relatively close in the area to stay? After they're just for lodging.
Uh, yeah, there's a free campground 8 miles down the road. There's fields, and I think the junction, or you got Lakeview, Winnemucca. Winnemucca or Lakeview would probably be your best bet
Okay.
And
for
how far
for
how far would it be from
uh,
Winnemucca?
Winnemucca is 140 miles and Lakeview's 115, so you should
Oh,
probably come prepared,
okay. That
and
that was my question. That was where I was kind of getting to.
spend a
Was
couple
if you
days.
don't stay, like if you're not camping there, what does the distance look like? So you're
Long
essentially
ways,
saying,
yes.
yes, okay. So plan to camp there.
Uh-huh. We do
Yeah,
have
and
accommodations, so call ahead of time if you want to do something. It's
So
yeah,
super
you have
easy
and
if
like
it's available, if that's
uh,
what you want.
you have
Uh-huh.
campers that are available to rent
Or,
out.
or we have a cabin and a cottage, which the cabin sleeps
Perfect.
3, and then the cottage sleeps 2.
Good. Okay, good to know.
But they book up quick, so we take reservations, I believe, January 1st of the next year, for that year.
Okay. Okay, cool. Good to know.
Oh yeah, reservations for camping, and I think they started taking reservations for RVs, but I think you could pull in and shouldn't be a problem with an RV. Maybe not. Yeah, you're fine. Anyways,
yeah, and Antonio says that the junction
8
has like
rooms.
eight rooms, but best just to camp at the RV park. Yeah, beautiful sky. Yeah, I will say I
Safety,
almost
yes.
grabbed. I did have a photo of the sunset while I was out there, and yeah, it's the scenery out there is spectacular. Part of being not close to hotels means that like you mentioned, the scenery in the night sky is just
Mm-hmm.
spectacular.
Mhm. So you can only camp at designated campgrounds in Virgin Valley, just FYI.
Oh,
So you can't go out in the boondocks, and just pitch tent,
okay.
or if you get caught, I guess.
Right.
So they'll give you a ticket.
Okay. I think we've talked about a lot of the different things. I don't know. I didn't see. If anyone else has any questions, please comment them below. There's been some really good ones so far. Someone did ask, do you allow dogs at the dig site?
Yes, we are pet friendly. We like to keep them on a leash and picked up after. I don't like finding dog crap in the tailings. But other than that, yes, dog friendly.
Okay, great. Yeah, and I think and then do you have, so I know we talked use or tools that people can rent, or does everyone have to bring their own tools?
We do have big picks. They're not the best of big picks. I mean, yeah, I just sharpened them. I forge sharpened them. You're supposed to forge sharpen your tools. You're not supposed to sharpen them with a grinder. Uh, so I just got into forge sharpening, and so they're working out pretty well, I think. Uh, but yeah, we have big picks and shovels and rakes. That's probably about all we got. So I would kind of recommend bringing your own awls, little picks. There is a very limited amount of little picks that we have. So, and yeah, I would say if you want the right stuff, bring your own.
Okay. And we had another question asking about the fossils. Do you have like a specific area that people can find fossils, or is it just sort of a luck?
No, the layer that we're in, the fossils are not very common, so that's just like a 1 in 1,000
Mm.
people maybe might find a bone in the layer that we're in. Uh, but there is a bone layer that I haven't. I was thinking about opening it up, but probably not in the near future. Stay tuned, fossil digs. Uh,
So I think I don't remember if it was just sort of like after COVID or if there was like something special going on. But I think I heard that at one point you guys had like a bunch of people there. Like, what is the most like how many people at once have you had digging there?
the most people that I've ever seen was 99, 98, I think it was 98 or 99. That was the most I've ever seen. Took me 3 hours to clean. Yeah, that's most I've ever seen.
That's a lot.
Indeed. Uh, so yeah,
Yeah,
and I think that was 99 on the bank, and there we had like 50 more in the
Oh,
tailings.
tailings. Yeah, I was gonna say you've got to have. Yeah, yeah.
hmm
Wow.
yeah. So and it's
Anyways,
yeah, and so and I know it like when I was there, I think there were maybe 10 of us that were out there.
yeah,
I was
something
also
you
in the
don't have
middle
any.
of the week,
hmm
so I know that that
hmm
helps.
I don't know. Sometimes though, a couple years ago, for the past like 2 years, the weekdays were busier than the weekends.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Wednesday, Thursday. Uh, but this year everything's been so hot out there. Triple digits. I haven't seen it this hot, this consistent for so long.
Wow.
Uh,
And you do have if I remember right, you've got a store that not only do you sell like opals and that, but you also sell like some conveniences like soda and things too. Is that right?
Soda, Gatorade, water, ice cream, candy bars, ice, 8 pound bags of ice, just some really small things, sunscreen. You know, we do have a laundry facility. If you want to do laundry, that's your fee for camping there is included in, or to do your laundry,
Oh,
it's
nice.
included in the fee.
And do you have any like I know like some of the like things that people put opal in like those domes or different like cases. Do you sell any like cases or things for people if they find an opal?
We do have those glass domes, a lot of them. So if you want to keep your specimens, yeah, we got the glass domes and everything. That's about it for display cases, though. It's just the domes
Okay.
for what we have.
And we had one other
Uh,
question come through. Is a sifter good, like a sieve or something to use for the dirt, like for the tailings?
the old tailings, the tailings that have been broke down over many of rainstorms, snowstorms, those are good to go through. Old tailings are good to use a sifter. The newer stuff, the clay is more cloddy, so it clogs up your screens and you don't see nothing. So older tailings, good. New tailings, no. Could be worth it though, sometimes.
That's some really good questions tonight. I'm just looking through these.
I've been nervous.
Yeah, yeah. Antonio mentioned too to ask you about the black light opal.
Oh,
Oh yeah, so
like UV?
uranium,
Oh yeah.
yes, so you guys know how the UV thing works, hit it
Yeah.
with an ultraviolet and it
Mm-hmm.
excites it. So uranium enriched ground salts leaching into the silicate gel as it was being made, gave you this uranium opal, glows really nice
Ooh,
green, the green
exciting.
under any wave, I believe it is.
Yeah.
Shortwave, I guess, being the
The
best.
brightest.
Or they do have this. So I stumbled upon phosphorescence. They say that it
Mm-hmm.
didn't exist in the valley, or I've never seen it, but I have stumbled upon some phosphorescent stuff with a certain wave. I think it's like, I don't know, like a medium or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But there is phosphorescence in the
Cool.
Virgin Valley as well, with lots of fluorescent. It doesn't hold a charge as the other stuff.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's out there.
that's sweet.
Sorry, I'm just trying to read. So we did get Edith commented. I can bring it up. I'm not sure how much it'll show here. Edith says that she was there in 2021 and found a nice piece of black opal wood. For unfortunately no color play, but it was the biggest piece found that day. She immensely enjoyed her stay and much appreciated for refunding her husband's dig fee as he was sicker than a dog. Oh, and that could not dig. Hope to come back someday. Yes,
Oh,
I have been um experienced some of that where certain things happen sometimes when you're eating gas station food too. I'll say that. So and then on the fluorescent side, William was asking, I guess, can you hunt at night with like a UV light? or is I think when I was there, I know my opal at least did not fluoresce. Is that pretty common, or is that fairly
So,
rare?
so in the area that we are digging in, either there is lots of iron soaking up all the ultraviolet light, it won't let it come back out to you, or there was no uranium enriched ground salts leaching in with the silica gel. So, so where we offer digging, there's no fluorescence there. Or I take that back. There was one not too long ago that who knows how many of them have it. So you guys are familiar with the Spencer opal, how it's in lines and
Mhm.
whatnot. So he just so happened to take a flat lap to it and exposed this very
Oh,
thin white layer of fire that fluoresced. So had some uranium in it where we were digging at. So that uranium might have separated itself from all of the other stuff. Maybe it separated itself and it had a thin little uranium layer. Could have been. Or some people theorize that it was all different events that,
mm.
led to everything, which some things have merits, but it's all a kind of a big mystery. Uh, but you can blacklight within the park, but you can't go out and about like close to us and do it. If you want to go to the other side of the canyon, you can blacklight, but everything like on our side is all active mining claims.
Oh,
Okay.
But you can do it in the park, though, I guess.
So, if people want more information, I know you've got a website, which is royalpeacock.com. And then I believe you got Facebook. Is there any way that, like, if someone wanted to come and dig, like, what's the best way for them to organize that?
I would say call, give a jingle on the two-way. That would be the best bet. Uh, yeah, I wouldn't rely on the media, online media or social media, I should say, or anything like that to do it. Might be a scam. So definitely call and do all your stuff.
Okay.
oh, let's see.
Yeah, I'm just trying to read some more of the comments
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, lots of comments tonight. It's great. Just
Hopefully good.
yeah, oh yeah. I was just this is just a comment on amenities. Just if, people who are watching and are wanting to plan coming.
Yes,
There's
we
a
got the
mention that
Wi-Fi, Starlink,
yes, they've
Starlink.
got Wi-Fi, which nowadays we kind of need. So, um,
Yes, although like I said, there was the other option of you can always head into the bar and drink for a few hours if you if you want that option with your Wi-Fi
Yeah,
too.
I used to go to Diamond Inn every Friday when I was younger.
oh, did you?
That's
That
one of
was
my
the
favorite
spot,
bars.
huh?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
if you like sort of those divey backwoods bars, I will say the Diamond Inn will be right up your alley. It's a fun trip.
Well, if you've got kids, you're gonna definitely want some Wi-Fi at some point. So just
Yes.
at some point, you're gonna want them to go on the tablet just a little bit. So, so,
we
um,
we
so
did
it's good
have
that you have that.
we did have a, I guess, sort of technical question about your RV. Is there like a size limit as far as the size of a
I'm
camper?
pretty sure we could fit the biggest ones, the big bus-like ones. Yep, we could fit a big one. Hmm.
Okay,
We only have
great.
5 spaces for the big ones, though, 50 amp sites.
Okay. Well,
A little tight.
we are getting close to the end here. Thank you, Jake, again for
Thank you, guys.
all of the information. It's great to hear more about all of the opals and just everything. Um, Looking forward to our next episode. Our
Yes,
next episode is going to
let's see,
be August 9th. It'll be at the same
Kelsey.
time, 9 o'clock Eastern, and Kelsey Darnold is going to be our guest.
Yes, Kelsey is a TikTok lapidary artist. who does a lot of her TikToks are on tumbling, lapidary art. She's also a lapidary teacher, I believe, for children. So we will speak with her and learn about her journey, as well as some of her tips and tricks that she can teach us on how to beautify our minerals and crystals. So that will be in 2 weeks. And if anyone has any questions regarding the article that we discussed earlier in the show, I will put a link in the comments just to make it easier for everyone. Like I mentioned, it was a really good article to read. And so, thank you very much, Jake, for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. It's always so hard to listen to our guests and not like want to go to where they are right now. I'm like listening to all this. I'm like, I want to go now.
I know, yeah, and it's seeing some of these photos, it's like, yeah, I
Yes.
want
Oh
to get
my
back up there.
gosh. I'm like, yes, yes, definitely.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
thank you for spending your time with us this evening, and we will
Anytime.
sign out. We will see everyone in a couple of weeks. Peace out.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.